Sup, soul family? It's me, Tarek b.o.b, and today we're going to be talking about living in conscious communities, intentional communities. So I've been living at Aloha Farms at Salt Spring Island, south of Vancouver City, and today we're going to be talking about what it means to live in an intentional community, what are the pros, what are the cons, and my experience over here so that you can hopefully be inspired by it. So for the longest time I've been talking about living in community and how important it is, and there are these hubs all over the planet. Thailand has a bunch of conscious spiritual hubs, Hawaii, Australia, Byron Bay community, Sydney community, all these different hubs. Toronto has a little hub, definitely West Coast, California, Oregon, Vancouver. So where else? Costa Rica. I know Guatemala has a hub for this type of community. Bali has a hub for this type of community. Sorry, it's kind of dark. So first step in living in a conscious community is to set the intention. So for the longest time I've been setting the intention to live in a conscious community, and then the synchronicities happen. So step two is when you feel that intuitive call to surrender to that flow and take inspired action. So what I love about living in an intentional community, I remember struggling with depression, struggling with addiction, whether it's food, whether it's basically anything to numb me from the pain of not being connected to the earth, connected to my soul tribe, feeling isolated and alone. I would go to addictions just to numb that. Since I've gotten here on the community, it's been 2 weeks. Yesterday was probably the only day where some big emotional thing came up for me, but there are men's circles, women's circles where we get to, on a regular basis, talk about what's coming up for us. That's not building up on our own. Just human connection, just passing by people. It doesn't have to be a deep conversation, but just high-fiving or giving a hug. Huge. Cooking together, eating together, putting all this love into our foods, prayer into our foods, living in community. This is how we used to do it a long time ago. This is how cultures all over the world still do it, indigenous cultures. So going back to the old ways, but bringing forward the forward thinking as well. I could definitely say the issues that I had with needing a lover or needing to make love to someone, anything just to numb my pain, sometimes even buying stuff became a form of numbing the pain. All these things that I was looking outside of myself to please numb this feeling of dissatisfaction, depression, anxiety, all of that dissipated. I was using CBD on a regular basis 2-3 times a day. I was microdosing on medicinal mushrooms, which I call medicinal, on the weekends to 0.2 grams to break me out of depressions and anxieties and addictions. So ever since I've come here, all that just kind of dissipated. So I remember watching a documentary about some place in Europe, it might have been Denmark, I could be mistaken, and they noticed that the prisoners, as soon as they integrated them into society and they helped them grow gardens for people in their society, and they were able to connect with others, they found that the crime rate dropped almost to nothing. And so that documentary basically, or that video, was talking about the opposite of addictions is connection. And when you have connection, you no longer need to go to your addictions. And having my moon in Pisces, and Piscean energy is really prone to go deep into the darkness of what's happening behind the scenes on our planet, and that stuff's really hard to digest. So having all this stuff that I dive deep into the darkness and digest. Anyways, long story short, community, pros, connection, communication. We have open every morning. Almost every morning is meditation circle. We're getting together for lunch, eating together. You're connecting with other people here and there, going on many adventures out in nature. You have the ability to just be secluded. You're living on the land. You're growing food. You're connecting to the food. You're working in the gardens, growing food if you'd like. Some people are doing that. having men's circles, women's circles, having an intentional community that's based on certain principles. So here, one of the principles is the four principles. So um, not taking anything personally, be punctual, your word, your word, sticking to what you're saying, um, showing up on time and giving it your all. So having a community that's based on certain principles really helps better you as a person, making you become more a better version of who you are. And this intentional community is based on some inspiration from the Tamara community in not Italy, Portugal, I believe. And so there's a book based on those people who discovered the way to end violence through open-hearted expression. You could read more about it, but I love that book, that those teachings are a part of this community. So it's teaching you about all these challenges you're having in your relationships and with sexuality and sex can be ended through really having real love for one another. And so I love that that's integrated into it, where there's weekly classes and reading about it and discussing it. They have something called the forum, where it's like kind of like an open, like a men-women circle, but different in the sense that you share what's coming up for you, and after you share it, people will get up on stage and share, hey, based on what you shared, I'm seeing someone who's going through some struggles right now, who has maybe overgiving or under receiving, and you just reflect back to them what you saw in their in what they're sharing. So that's really beautiful. So much nature, so much yeah, honestly, it's been the best thing ever. What I find challenging is there's like tents for a lot of people here, and then there's rooms. So the challenge is kind of having that privacy and having like a home space feel is a little tricky, although the longer you stay, the more opportunities for you to have like a physical bigger space where you can call your home. There's not internet everywhere here, but there's certain spaces where there's internet. I love that there's ongoing workshops. So we got jiu-jitsu every week. I'm running a men's circle here tomorrow as well. There's a women's circle. There's ecstatic dances not too far from here. So it's really, really beautiful. And there's a potluck every Sunday. Invite people to come and eat together. A lot of beautiful things. We had a beautiful artist from based in Kauai, Hawaii, come here and do a performance for us, because this is kind of like a hub for conscious spiritual people. So I highly recommend you watch documentaries about intentional communities, because how cool is it to, instead of spending all your hours and energy working to get a salary, which then pays for the basics that you have, imagine living in a way where you don't have to do that. You're in community, and you're spending the time that you have now on the things that you're actually passionate about, because you don't have to work your butt off just to pay rent. You know what I mean? So it's a different way of living where it's communal. You break out of the matrix. I mean, it still has its pros and cons. Challenges are communication, people assuming, taking things personally, not being transparent maybe, or not opening, just being like, everyone's going through their own stuff, so you really have to just be accepting of everyone exactly where they are. Maybe another challenge might be not taking time for yourself, clash of personality clashes, taking things personally, getting triggered. Like, I feel like we're all mirroring each other. So again, I feel like open communication heals all wounds. So I've been feeling great. I love it. Today's been a busy day, a little tired, but yeah, I hope this, I'd love to hear what your experiences have been in intentional communities, or did you research specific communities in specific areas? Please let us know where they are and your experience of them. And let me know if you want me to like kind of do more vlogs about my experience here in this community. I've had one of the best months in a very long time, coming coming to Vancouver. So if you're feeling nudged to go somewhere, follow that. Like the video if you liked it, comment below, let me know. Go to tarek.com and Indigo Profit for free resources. Peace.